This is Service to Humanity, and you are welcome to another episode of the program put together to update you on the activities of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as her agencies. My name is Habiba Zakzak, your anchor. Tonight, on this special episode of the program, we shall bring you the presentation of the Humanitarian Minister at the 23rd edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard, which held last week in Abuja, where the minister made submissions on the activities and achievements of the ministry since its inception. Details of this and more when the program commences fully after the break. Please stay tuned.
I started to collect money, 10,000. First, if I collect, I'll buy food to feed my children. The remaining one, I'll go and buy and sell groundnuts and corn. This can buy and sell, they help me. In one day, if I sell, my gain what I have, 2,000, 3,000. From there, my children, I'll cut them, go to school, give them money. That money, they help me well, and benefit well. This money, they help me well with my family.
Thanks for staying tuned. The program begins with the Management Diary, where we bring you news on recent happenings in the humanitarian ministry as well as from her agencies.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, has commiserated with the Turkish government over the devastating earthquake which occurred in the country on Monday, 8 February 2023. Paying a condolence visit to the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, His Excellency Hidayat Berektar, on behalf of the federal government, Farouk described the earthquake and its aftermath as devastating. She prayed that families of the victims affected by the earthquake, and especially those of the dead, will find strength to bear the loss. In response, His Excellency Hidayat Berektar, the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, thanked the minister and the Nigerian government for their condolences and prayed for continued peaceful collaborations between the two countries. The minister was accompanied by Permanent Secretary of the Humanitarian Ministry, Dr. Nasir Sani Gwarzo, the Director of Humanitarian Affairs, Alhaja Ali Grema, and the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Ahmed Mustafa Habib. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has been thrown into a state of mourning following the demise of its only female director, Mrs. Nkechi Onkwe. The sad event occurred on Friday, January 27, 2023, after a brief illness. Visiting to commiserate with the family of the deceased at Kado, Abuja, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, expressed shock at the director's sudden demise. The minister, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Nasir Sani Gwarzo, led the management staff of the ministry, including directors, the National Coordinator, National Social Investment Programs, NSIP, among others, stated that the untimely and unforeseen death was a rude shock, having held a management meeting with the deceased the previous day. Farouk described Mrs. Onkwe as a strong family member of the ministry as well as a professional who worked so hard and diligently without crossing anybody's path. The minister prayed that God will console and provide for the family she left behind. In his remarks, the National Coordinator, National Social Investment Program, Engineer Umar Binder, eulogized the late director, describing her as a natural civil servant who went about her work diligently. Binder urged the children of the late Mrs. Onkwe to imbibe the character of their mother, whom he said will surely be missed. Mrs. Onwukwe started her career at the Ministry of Women Affairs in 1992 before joining the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs in 2019. She is survived by 3 children and was aged 56 years.
Welcome back. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is one ministry whose mission is to develop humanitarian policies and provide effective coordination of national and international humanitarian interventions. Since its inception in 2019, millions of poor and vulnerable Nigerians, especially women, youth, children, persons living with disabilities, and older citizens have all benefited tremendously from its programs and policies. At the 23rd edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard, which held last week in Abuja, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadiya Umar Farouk, measures the achievements of the ministry since its inception as she talks about its activities. Let's have the report.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadiya Umar Farouk, has presented the performance report of the Humanitarian Ministry during the 23rd edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard in Abuja. The aim of the series is to acquaint the Nigerian public with the activities and programs of this administration in general and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in particular. Present at the event were the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Permanent Secretaries of the Humanitarian Ministry and Ministry of Information and Culture, Dr. Nasir Sani Gwarzo and Mrs. Lydia Shehu Jafia. Beginning her presentation with a brief history of the ministry, which was established on the 21st of August 2019 by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Humanitarian Minister, Hajia Sadiya Umar Farouk, stated that the ministry was created to serve as a government establishment responsible for supervising, coordinating activities and tackling humanitarian and socio-economic issues that have affected Nigeria in the last decade.
Issues like poverty and displacement of citizens as a result of insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, separatist movements, farmer herder crisis, and many more. Since its creation, the ministry has canvassed all the nooks and corners of our great nation, delivering much needed assistance to the most vulnerable in our societies. During disasters, the ministry and its agencies has been on call providing basic relief materials to victims all over the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory.
Farouk said that carrying out the ministry's mandate is made possible through interrelationship between the ministry and the 6 agencies and 2 programs under its supervision. These agencies are National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, the National Agency for Prohibition and Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, and the National Senior Citizen Center, NSCC. While the 2 programs under the Humanitarian Ministry are the National Social Investment Programs and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, or SAP SDGs. On policies, Farouk stated that since its creation, the ministry has been able to initiate the development of several policies and the review and update of some existing policies, as well as strategic plans, which, when fully implemented, would have great impact in coordinating and managing disasters at all levels in the country.
And this includes the National Policy for IDPs, the National Disaster Risk Management Policy, Revised National Disability Policy, the National Social Protection Policy in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and other stakeholders, and many more as listed. National Contingency Plan 2019 to 2021, the National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan 2022, the National Action Plan on Human Trafficking in Nigeria 2022 to 2026, Protocol for Identification, Safe Return and Rehabilitation of Trafficked Persons 2022, and many more as shown also on the screen. We also work in close collaboration with other MDAs to ensure the actualization of these policies and plans.
The Humanitarian Ministry has achieved remarkable achievements through its agencies, starting with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, which has the mandate to safeguard the interest and treatment of internally displaced persons, IDPs, refugees and asylum seekers, as well as coordinate migration. The Minister highlights programs' implementations.
Through this agency, the government supported 3,297,628 IDPs, including host communities with basic needs. It has also facilitated the signing of the declaration of 4 city-states, which are the FCT, Cross River, Benue, and Lagos, in Nigeria as refugee-friendly cities, making it a total of 287 refugee-friendly cities in more than 40 countries. It has also distributed food and non-food items to about 7,836,944 households across the country. It has also carried out several projects such as building skill acquisition, training, empowerment, which targeted 2.9 million persons of concern. And this includes our refugees, returnees, and IDPs that have been trained and empowered in various skills such as fashion design training, photography, etc.
Other projects by the Refugee Commission are Project Educate All, which aims to address the growing challenge and learning needs of displaced persons and ensure accelerated learning in emergency settings, and Project Skill Up, which is an empowerment project to empower persons of concern with skills and startup capital so as to integrate them back into the society. The National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, which has the mandate to enforce and administer the prohibition, prevention, detection, prosecution and punishment of trafficking in persons and related matters, has also been involved in quite a number of activities, which the Minister highlighted.
The agency, working with relevant stakeholders, carried out the repatriation of trafficked persons from various countries. And this includes reception, profiling, debriefing, counseling of these trafficked persons coming in from Cyprus, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Libya, Ghana, Burundi, Burkina Faso, UAE, Algeria, Morocco, Niger, Chad, Niger, and Senegal. Victims were brought to Lagos and Abuja. They were reunified with their families. The agency also carried out investigation and prosecution of TIP cases, trafficked in persons. It has also liaised with IOM and relevant CSOs for victims training and empowerment.
In recent years, natural and man-made disasters like flood happening nationwide have led to issues of displacement and distorted development in several parts of the country. Farouk reports that National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, as its mandate states, has been at the forefront in coordinating federal response to emergency preparedness, mitigation response and recovery in the country. Following the prediction and early warnings, NEMA was directed to immediately utilize the available data to commence early action as stipulated in the 2022 Federal Executive Council approved National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan 2022 that comprised preparedness and mitigation activities.
This includes technical meetings to analyze such climate predictions. It also includes letters to state governors on impending flood disasters in 2022, along with risk mapping of states predicted to have above normal rainfall in 2022. These letters were sent to all the states and the federal capital. The National Consultative Workshop was also held for the flood preparedness, mitigation, and response in Nigeria. This was conducted sometime around August. NEMA Territorial Zonal Operation Workshop on Climate Risks was also carried out for preparedness, mitigation, and response. This was conducted by our zonal, territorial, and operation offices, press conferences, releases, TV and radio appearances, advocacy, media campaign, etc.
In preparation for the flood, the ministry, through NEMA, focused on some strategies to ensure effective coordination. These include provision of specialized equipment including boats pre-positioned across all NEMA's zonal, territorial and operational offices in Nigeria. Relief materials were stockpiled in all the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT. NEMA zonal, territorial and operations offices in 16 states, including FCT, alerted to commence handshake meetings with stakeholders, including the 68 military disasters response units across Nigeria. NEMA creating a dashboard for up-to-date monitoring of situations in concert with the regional emergency operations centers for 2022 flood disasters in the country. According to Farouk, once the floods came, search and rescue operations commenced, as well as the provision of life-saving emergency relief materials for victims. The search and rescue efforts covered 25 states, 119 local government areas, 1,020 communities. Sadly, despite these efforts of early warning and actions coordinated by the humanitarian ministry, the statistics from an impact analysis done on the 2022 flood disasters summarizes that affected persons 4,476,867, displaced persons 2,437,411, injured persons 3,181, lives lost 655, houses partially damaged 181,705, houses completely damaged 174,381, farmlands totally damaged 676,945.
The federal government approved the release of 12,000 metric tons of grains, rice, sorghum, and gari from the National Strategic Reserves for distribution to all states. NEMA distributed these relief materials to the 36 states and the FCT in 3 tranches, reaching 216,345 households, synonymous to 1,298,070 persons. The ministry also responded to other disasters such as repatriation of Nigerians in Ukraine following the breakout of hostilities with Russia.
From the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, another agency under the purview of the Humanitarian Ministry, the minister said that a lot of activities, particularly in areas of education, agriculture and health, have been carried out. She highlighted some of them.
The construction of 3 blown-up bridges on Mubi-Madagali Road in Adamawa State, construction of 32-kilometer Garkida-Dabna ongoing in Adamawa State, construction of 22.5 Jere Bawal Zambalmari Road network ongoing in Borno State, construction of culverts and drainages on Alkaleri Futuk Road ongoing in Bauchi State, construction of 54-kilometer Mutai Ingalda Road ongoing in Yobe State, construction of 2.2-kilometer road and drilling of solar-powered boreholes at Federal College of Education, Hong, Adamawa State, construction of 53-kilometer Gombe-Aba Kirfi Road in Gombe and Bauchi States. It has also constructed 1,000 mass housing units at Ungom in Borno State. It has constructed also 500 mass housing units each in Adamawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe States, respectively.
On health interventions, the minister highlighted that the NEDC carried out medical outreach to over 10,000 beneficiaries, constructed and equipped molecular laboratories across the 6 states in the zone, constructed and equipped burn centers at FTHY and UMTH in Adamawa and Borno states respectively, donated ambulances, ventilators and other essential medical equipment, construction of Faculty of Medicine, Accident and Emergency at Modibo Adama University, provided anti-snake vaccines at Snake Hospital, Kaltungo, Gombe State, provided 500 kVA generator set at the Federal Medical Center, Gombe, construction of fire service station in Bauchi State University, construction of medical emergency unit at Tafawa Balewa University, supply of equipment of ophthalmology center in Ningi. The NEDC also carried out education and agricultural interventions such as construction of Center for the Study of Violent Extremism at the University of Maiduguri, construction of NEDC mega schools in each of the 18 senatorial districts in the zone. The school has 16 classrooms for 1,200 students, 6 laboratories, hostels for 480 students, perimeter fence, commercial centers, medical, power facilities, and security, among others. In January 2019, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari assented to the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018. This gave birth to creation of the 5th agency under the Humanitarian Ministry, the National Commission for Persons with Disability, in 2021. The agency is charged specifically with the responsibility of ensuring the inclusion and welfare of persons with disabilities as enshrined in the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2018. The minister touched on this.
My hope is that the Commission, through its mandate, will ensure that the education, healthcare, and other socio-economic rights of the persons with disabilities are protected in this country. As a ministry, we shall continue to support and ensure maximum inclusion of persons with disabilities in our programs, and thus call on all other stakeholders to embrace disability inclusion through the Commission for a Better Nigeria for all citizens. Nigeria currently has 28 million Nigerians living with disabilities. The Commission has developed its Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, which is to implement programs and activities that will guarantee full inclusion of persons with disabilities into the society.
The National Senior Citizens Center, NSCC, which is the 6th agency under the Humanitarian Ministry, was established with the composition and inauguration of its board in June 2021, with a mandate to identify the needs of senior citizens and to cater for them. According to Farouk, the NSCC programs are organized around 8 themes, all looking at how poverty reduction, health and wellness, and social services systems can improve inclusion and quality of life for all senior citizens and the most vulnerable among them.
The Center has also developed the NSCC 10-year strategic plan and commenced its operationalization on national policy on aging. It has also a high-level technical support programs and activities. It has done medical outreaches. It has also done a high-level advocacy visits to traditional and religious leaders, as well as the private sector roundtable.
With that, we come to the end of this week's episode of Service to Humanity. Until I come your way again next week, stay safe. Remember, your questions and suggestions are always welcome on any of our social media platforms or the Ministry's page on Facebook or Twitter. Good night and God bless Nigeria. See you next week.